produce movies with total independence, take creative risks, and have those movies get released by big studios and make a huge impact on audiences around the world. How fun would that be? So I drove my Chevy Astro to meet James Wan and Lee Whannell. Like Oren, they had created a hit film franchise from a simple premise. What if the only way to escape captivity was to saw your arm off? The major studios believed that the audience wanted more movies like Saw from these filmmakers, hard R-rated torture porn. But James and Lee wanted to do something different. They wanted to make an emotional family drama that happened to be a terrifying haunted house story, and it would be PG-13. And it would have comic relief characters in the form of Specs, played by screenwriter Whannell, Tucker, and Lynn Shay, and at the end, she would die. Months later, I drove to meet Scott Derrickson, who had a movie idea about a nonfiction writer struggling to balance his duties as a father with his ambitions to solve a notorious murder case. Sinister was as disturbing and provocative as Insidious was emotional and funny. Then there was James DeMonaco's The Purge, a simple but terrifying concept that held a dark mirror up to America and its obsession with violence. When I first met Jordan Peele, I had one criticism of his screenplay for Get Out. There's a scene when Chris, played by Daniel Kaluuya in the film, finds himself at a garden party. Across the yard, he spots a black partygoer. Chris immediately marches up to him and introduces himself, which triggers a disturbing outburst from the partygoer. I told Jordan it seemed a little unmotivated, like the story needed a scare, so the filmmaker was just going to arrange it. Jordan told me something that in hindsight should have been obvious to me. If a black man is at a party and sees the only other black man, he will immediately seek him out. Jordan wanted to make Get Out so that he could gather a giant audience together and help them understand what it's like to navigate the world as a black man. Indeed, when I watched the first cut of Get Out, I didn't need Chris's motivation explained to me. I felt it. And that's what makes horror films so special. At their best, they can produce in a viewer the most upsetting feeling we can have, terror. But at the same time, they produce one of the most important feelings we can have, empathy. White audiences will never fully understand what it feels like to be a black man walking into a garden party full of white people, but Get Out brought them one step closer to that experience. Get Out crystallized for me what Blumhouse was meant to do. Create the best conditions for an artist to give the audiences something they didn't even know they wanted. But this book isn't just about Blumhouse. It's about the filmmakers, the actors, the writers, the crews, the hundreds of artists who have helped bring these movies to life. You'll read about Mike Flanagan, who turned Ouija: Origin of Evil into one of the rare horror sequels that's better than the original. You'll read about Christopher Landon, who made horror fun and funny again with Happy Death Day and Freaky. You'll read about Gerard Johnstone, Akilah Cooper, and James Wan, who introduced the world to Megan, a killer robot who just wants to protect you from all harm, emotional and physical. You'll read about Scott Derrickson, C. Robert Cargill, and Ethan Hawke, who followed up Sinister with The Black Phone, a coming-of-age film that also happens to have a masked psychopath. And despite my hesitation about producing sequels or remakes of other people's horror titles, you'll read about David Gordon Green and Jamie Lee Curtis, who brought Halloween back with a vengeance, and a strong point of view about how our understanding of random violence had changed in the 40 years since John Carpenter's original. And you'll read about Lee Whannell's quest to turn a stodgy old Universal monster movie into a pulse-quickening domestic thriller about a woman who can't trust her senses while being menaced by the Invisible Man. In the final chapter, you'll read about Scott Cawthon, who created something indelible and beloved, virtually by himself. It was a video game about a security guard tasked with monitoring the animatronic characters at a kids' theme restaurant. Scott had tried for years to partner with major studios to develop a movie based on Five Nights at Freddy's. The studios just didn't trust this outsider from Texas. Maybe because Oren Peli was a video game developer like Scott.
To keep listening to this audiobook for free, click the link in the description. It will take you to a free Audible trial where you can listen to this and many other books for free for 30 days.